My name is Charles-Antoine, so first name, sorry, it's a long one, Poirier, and I'm working in innovation for too many years, and I have a specific focus on environmental stuff and how especially to introduce environmental challenges within any innovation project. So whatever the technique, here we are going to rely on one, which is design thinking. Whatever the technique, you could foster foster innovation with environmental in mind. So to do that, we will have some slides and some practices, practical tools you could take home and do practice with your own team. So this is just the name of the company, the guide. So we will. So this is where you're going to practice. So as soon as you see this back, you know that you are going to be in charge. I'm in charge here. I'm in charge then. So what are we going to talk about? So short intro, and we will see in an innovation project. So let's say we are going to stick on design thinking. Where can we inject some environmental capabilities? So what are we talking about? A really quick survey. Are there people who already undertook a fresque? Yes, fresque. You've been participating in a fresque du climat, climate fresque, digital college, biodiversity fresque. No, we are the only three. Okay, that's perfect. This is not the topic. It's a very good enabler, but it's absolutely not mandatory. Then, are you currently involved in a design thinking project? How much do you know about design thinking? Do you expect to have a masterclass on design thinking? So who knows quite well design thinking? Wow, so I've absolutely nothing to say. That's perfect. We are going to be very fast in that part. So what's in this talk and in the techniques we promote, it's really about any innovation project you have. So you could have a service innovation project, you could have a product-oriented service, product-oriented innovation project. You could also have a transformation, kind of a transforming an organization, and you could use design thinking for that. So any kind of design thinking, even if it is not completely from the brief of the project, it's not stated we want to work on the environment. Okay, so this is really not necessary to be part of the ESG team of your organization. This is, I would say, even better if not part of the ESG part, because they already have plenty of stuff. But all the innovation projects that are undergoing in the company may be interested in some of the techniques we are going to do. So if ever you want, at your own level, to take in charge some environmental challenge in your innovation project, you may find some elements here that could be useful to your project. What do we leave out? We leave what I call ESG usual suspect. So every project, initiative, any ESG team knows about green IT, CSRD, CARE, the forthcoming one, and so forth. So this is great stuff, and it's perfect to do the job, but you do not cover every activity in the company when you do that. This is the ESG team that is in charge. It's just to diffuse in the company that from an operational standpoint, some could do more than what is done as a corp level if we're talking about the corp level. So anyway, even if you're part of the ESG team, that's absolutely legit to use those techniques. Maybe it will add up on top of what you already have at home. So speaking of a design thinking project, you may already have seen this, okay? So what we call the double diamond. This is not the representation I like the most, and over the past years, I changed it a lot. That just before to get familiar with some element of terminology, what do we do in the different phases that we see in such representation? First diamond, you have divergence, which is about exploring. So inspiration, we were speaking about mood boards. So this is where it takes place. You go for empathy, you meet with people. Then you spend quality time, it's a convergent approach, to craft good problems. And what is really important about design thinking is you spend probably more than half of the time in trying to find good problems to be solved. So design thinking is absolutely not about finding solution. Finding solution is quite easy, provided that you have crafted good problem. Okay, so we are done for the first diamond. Second diamond, so you go to ideation. So you find some concept after your ideation. And I say ideation, I will never say brainstorming because I don't like brainstorming at all. And I will show you another technique. Not saying that brainstorming is bad, but usually it's badly practiced. And in the final part of the last diamond, you have what we can call impact. Usually it gathers prototyping, user testing, and kind of pitching so that you can, at the end, make a decision whether we want to go forward with such and such concept or we withdraw. And it's perfectly legit to drop some concept. So I prefer to have this representation. So you're going to say, okay, it's still two kind of diamond. The only thing is that they merge. Okay, we smooth the edge. Okay, fine, but it's merged, and you're going to see why. Because in fact, usually that part here, it's really the most important point in a project. It's pivotal. It's where you move from the problem area to the solution area. So it's really where you move from what is the world today and what would be the world I want to invent. So and usually this is highlighted through 1 or 2 days workshop, very intensive. Some elements I like to picture in a project is usually not, you never start by a problem, you start with a brief. Designer like brief. So it's not, I want you to solve that problem. It's, we would like you to find something, maybe a new product, a new service in this area. So the fuzzier the brief is, the better we feel comfortable. Which is absolutely not what you do when you want to start a brainstorming. If you shortcut everything, you go directly for brainstorming, and you have a question, and you have to find a solution. Here, we have an area to investigate. We investigate, we try missing problems, and then we can move on the ideation. And finally, there is a decision point here, where you come up with, okay, we landed on 2, 3, 4 concepts at the end of our project, innovation project. Which one do we believe that is the most valuable, the most impactful, the most interesting for the company to pursue? And then, for those who pass the test, then you could go for development. It could be an MVP, it could be a regular development, whatever the methodology, agile, whatever. Is it physical? Is it digital? This really depends on the concept. That's just a decision point here. The story never stops after these steps. The story starts for all the concepts that passed the decision point. Comfortable with that? So now, this is a regular innovation project through design thinking. This is how it works. And here, It works exactly the same if you work in the bank industry, in the automotive industry, in the retail, wherever you work, you can use this process. Within each stage, you have various techniques, of course, that you will make use of. But the process is still the same wherever the industry you work for. Now, what if we want to inject in this project some element of sustainability? I, as the manager of the project, I feel very concerned by environmental challenges. Whatever my company is doing, I want to do more on this project. Okay, and I will see to which extent I can adapt the process so that I take more, I put more elements for environment in option. What can I do? I will just show some of elements. So everything you will see at the end of this slide is absolutely not the comprehensive version. It's a set of, and we will focus on a subset we will practice on. As soon as you have a brief, or even before, you can start awareness. I ask you, have you been attending a fresque? If in the team, the project team, nobody has ever attended a fresque, that would be a good starter. It's just 3 hours. So it will raise your awareness on, so depending on your industry, a fresque du climat, or a fresque, a very generic one, or a fresque du numérique, if you're more focused on the digital industry, that would make sense. But this is not just the only thing you could do. There's also other workshop. Doton speaks to someone. To me, it's the best one. And you could read as well. Huh? So no problem about that. And that would be interesting that you go for what it is, a circular economy we will speak about. Check is really related to your project. Let's do a reality check of what it is today with respect to my current company and the product we have. How do we behave from an environmental standpoint? We will see. We will have here. You're going to love that, at least. This is one of the beloved work for designers, intents. And what are your intents with respect to the environment when you're going to lead this innovation project? Make them concrete, okay? So elicit them so that you will have them all along the project, and you will see if you stick to them or not. Do I have as an intent, do not harm the planet? I can also don't give a shit about it, so you can skip completely the presentation and go the regular way. But if you have some, if you're a little bit interested in that, what would be your interest? I want to do not harm, or I want to do more, not doing bad things to the planet. Okay, so I have the intent to reduce my consumption of water, or reduce GHG we are emitting. It could be such level, and whatever you write is a very first steps towards making that conscious decision. So we will go for a template we created. We call that Planet Ambition Charter. So this is really related to your project. How do you state your intents, and what is the check, the reality check you could perform at the very start of your project. Then, during this innovation project like this meeting, you have many sources of inspiration. You could have inspiration in terms of trends, in terms of technology, in terms of businesses. You look for analogies, so stuff that are happening in completely different industries, and you think they could be related. That's fine. During this inspiration, you could also look for environmental inspiration. We won't go for that. Empathy empathy is really key at this stage of any design thinking project. What do you do when you want to have empathy, Anaïs? At this stage?
For empathy preparation, you create an empathy situation.
Yeah. What are the techniques you make use of when you are in this very beginning exploration phase in the design thinking project?
It depends on the subject, but you can create an immersion phase, and for example, when you have to be empathic, because of someone's situation, you invite them to explain or to live their life, everyday life. For example, for capacity mobility person, very true for disabled person. You can ask them to show them the life, the tools they are using, the tools to improve their life better, or the tools that makes them life difficult. Or you can use a age suit. You can explain better.
No, that's perfect.
For example,
to feel like the user you would like.
My life and feel like my emotions.
Imagine you are a man and you are working for pregnant women. As a man, I don't even have a clue of what it is to have breast. So maybe I could not do as easily this gesture. So when I'm pregnant, I have absolutely, so unless for the fact that I saw my wife 3 times pregnant, it's absolutely nothing with respect to feel a little bit. So you could wear some costumes that pretends that you're still a man in your head. So it doesn't give you all the taste. But as part of empathy, you go for user interview, in fact, as well. So you want people to tell you their story of what it is today, not tomorrow, but today, to live such and such situation. Usually, when you go for empathy, you build what we call personas. So it's kind of stereotype of classification. I don't like the term, but you're going to kill me. But a set of user representative, and you create persona. So this is very typical of any innovation project, any UX project, even marketing is using persona. Now everyone is using persona. If you want to inject some element of environmental issues, you could think of non-humans persona. And so we will have a template for that in a minute. You could check back later on when you move on. Where are you speaking of your problems about the intent you had? And especially for those who knows what it is, a how might we or a what if, when you are crafting the problems, try to inject the intent you had first, so that you're consistent throughout your project. You said, we have this intent with respect to the planning. So let's try to see if we are still on focus with those when we elaborate the problem. When you work with your business model and your value proposition, usually it starts already there. When you have a concept, you start thinking, okay, what would be the customer? What you work with what we call value proposition. You may know that value propositions. Okay, the circle and the square, very famous, and the business model, which comes on top of that. So when you think about it, how can I take environmental issues into account when I'm elaborating both this value proposition and this business model? Okay, so this is something you can do very easily. We won't come back on that. Ideation. Ideation, it's all about, you have a set of problems. How do we come up with what are the techniques we can make use of to elaborate some ideas? So the most well-known ideation technique is, okay, I told you I won't tell it, so thank you very much. There's really plenty of others. Okay? One which I won't enter into the detail of is what is called SCAMPER. And SCAMPER is an acronym and it promotes, it fits very well to the environmental issue because the S is for substitute, the C is for, I don't remember all the letters, but it's very good to apply that to an ideation with environment in mind because you could try to substitute the usual technology, I mean, digital, with something that is much low-tech technology. So you can force your brain to adopt other reflex. Okay. As part of those iteration technique, we are going to use which we call brainwriting. Right? Okay, so brainwriting is a technique we took from the internet, we twisted it in, and we are using for the past 10 years, with much success, I must say. Again, when you are here, you have your concept. It's probably well stated. Can you check back if you're still consistent with respect to the intent you had from the beginning? It costs nothing, just a check. Are we still okay? Didn't we lose from our side the generous intent we had at first? So let's check that. Does anyone know that? In French, it's called effet rebond. No, it's so chic to say Jevons paradox. But in fact, in English, you can't say effet rebond, rebound effect. It's absolutely meaning nothing. So Jevons paradox is when you adopt a new technology, which at first should be lower on energy. Let's say 5G. 5G is very good because from an energy standpoint, it consumes much less energy than 4G. Much less. It has better bandwidth, better downtime, whatever, but from an energy standpoint, it's very, very good, very efficient because the emitters are not powered on every time. The Jevons effect comes when, thanks to this improvement in the technology, it considerably increased the usage of the technology. So every little bit you manage to win in efficiency and lower the energy is going to be ruined because the usage is going to explode exponentially. This is effet rebond in French. Everyone in an innovation project with sustainability in mind will really look at that very, very, very carefully. How much my innovation could have these Jevons effects and hence be worse than what was the previous situation. And I have two additional ones, and I'm going back to just mechanical, you see in a minute. There's plenty of research done on how do we consider from the very beginning, because here you just have a concept, you have something that is completely immaterial. How do we consider end of life for that? Can I already foresee what will happen, how I will dismount, how I will reuse, okay? Everything related to that. Just a hint, recycling is the last resort. Recycling is really what we should avoid. We have plenty of other elements when speaking of end of life before recycling. Recycling is really at the low level. If you consider that, oh yes, I think I'm good, I've plenty of recycling bins at home. In fact, as soon as you recycle, it's a failure. Because you're using a packaging that has been meant to be dropped. Enough. You know that? Nice. And so this is so sorry. It's a private private discussion. Good ancestor is a technique for you to predict in the future. So let's say I'm in 40 years from now, and I look back at what are the effects of my innovation. And was it devastating because of Jevons effects? Or so it's not about was it successful or not. I want to be a good ancestor for the coming generation. Not just the one after me, but the second and the third generation after me. So this is really being in that position. Okay? You're not obliged to take, and I didn't put everything, but you're not obliged to take everything here, just ideas. You could start with that at the end of the project. It's, I would say, interesting. It could be very funny. It has absolutely no impact if you perform nothing before, but it's a start. And next project you will start earlier in the project. So far so good. Okay, so let's go for some practice. And I'm very sorry, I'm not a digital guy. No, I'm completely geek, but because I'm geek, I know how much it is precious to work in analog mode. And I came up with this for you. Up. Up. So this is my gift for the day. And my gift is you need a pen and you need a pen. Sorry to be so old-fashioned. I've got one extra pen for those who do not have one. Yeah. Yes, you have a box. So my proposal is
the pen. And
Yeah, I actually have one somewhere. I think I might have lost it. I've got one.
so. Let's say we are at the very beginning of the project. We are here at the brief stage. So we receive from our stakeholder a general brief, and we can raise our awareness. This is not intended right now, but what we are going to do is let's perform a check. What it is today? How do we work today? And this is just what we are going to do on the template. So this template is divided in three stages. We will go for the first one. So first is checkup. Second is state your intents. But for stating your intents, you probably need to have a brief, which we don't have here in this context. So this is something you have to fill as a team with signature from every team member. So it's kind of a charter, and really it's a kind of commitment within the team. No one will be blamed, but it commits you as a team member. And retrospective is kind of being already in the good ancestor. So what if I'm in 10 years and I look back after we did that, all our intents were taken into account or not, how the checkup happened. So for doing the checkup, the proposal would be to use this. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Have you seen what it is?
Donut economics.
Donut economics. So donut economics is really really interesting. So you have in big on the right page. It's coming from a lady called Kate Raworth that invented that. So how do we read that? For French people, I think this is the worst illustration because we are absolutely not used to donuts. I mean, almost not used to. We have beignets, but beignets are very different. So donut doesn't evoke something to French people, and sometimes it could be repulsive from a gastronomic standpoint, but it's really up to anyone. So what does the donut means? It's really interesting because you have here some foundation. You don't want as a project, as a company, as a city, as a nation to go below. And you have all those sectors here: energy, water, food, health, education, networks, housing, gender equality, social equality. So you want to be in a safe zone with respect to all those elements. You don't want to go below the level, those levels. Okay? So that's why that's here the inner circle. And the outer circle is related to what we call the 9 planetary planetary boundaries. You probably have heard of, 6 of which have been already passed. And so you have the climate change. Okay, so everyone knows, is aware of that, but this is not the single problem we have to tackle with. Biodiversity being one of probably the most important at this stage, even worse than climate change probably. Air pollution, and air pollution comes also with plastics. Do you know that we found plastic at the top of Himalaya? They flew. Microplastics, they flew over the air on top of the Himalaya. Incredible. You find them at the bottom of the ocean, in the fishes, in our bodies, in the body of pregnant women, so thanks to the new baby to come. So you have all those 9 planetary boundaries, and the safe zone for any organization, should it be a project, should it be a company, should it be a city, should it be a nation, the world is said to be within this. So we have boundaries at the bottom, boundaries at the top, so we are really constrained by everything. So the idea here on this checker is not to be very good at everything, because you cannot, it's absolutely not possible. But related to your company, related to the organization you belong to, related to the department or to the product you try to reinvent or the service you try to invent, what are the most impact, what are the area where you think you have the most impact? On both social foundation and ecological saving. Okay. So, does your product has an impact on gender equality? If it's education, maybe it could have an impact, because being fair with boys and girls should be of paramount importance when you speak about. So, depending on your company, depending on your department, you may tick some of, maybe you're absolutely not concerned with water, or very far from you. Okay, I'm working in. Yeah, there are very little businesses that are not really concerned by water. Let's say AI. You work in AI. Does water is a concern? Just consider. It is said that a prompt GPT costs, in terms of water, a small bottle of water. Why? Because we need water to create the chips, and in some cases, which is even worse, we use water to cool down the infrastructure. Incredible. Okay. So not all the data centers are located in Iceland, and some cooling systems rely on water. Okay. So in digital industry, you're not very far from water, because you're using chip or you're making chip, because you could use water for some of the cooling activity. Not every data center is cooled by water, but some are. Energy consumption, I would say most of us are really concerned about that. So try to check and list some really some elements that are very close to you, and maybe you will have that in mind as part of your intents later on. Okay, so here it's about taking a picture of all the possible elements on which you can act upon, and later you will decide during the intents on which you're going to work. Okay? So we don't have much time, so maybe I'm going to move forward, but you understand, you have various sectors which you can do not tick everything, because it's going to be absolutely overwhelming when it comes to intents, but that's interesting. So when you did that, now you can move to intents, because I know where I can have we have today impacts, where do we as a team want to take action? What could be our input? Okay, so this is the bridge between checkup and so this one was for French speakers. The translated version. Move forward in the design thinking process, and we are going to look at an ideation. Alors, still in this initial phase, exploration, assuming you did the Planet Ambition Charter or not, here you go for empathy. So you go and meet with people, as I said, we hear from them their stories, their anecdotes, how it happens to them in the various situations, what is the worst, the best, what are the emotions, all the activities you usually do when you go and meet with users. Perfect. And at the end of that, when you've met with 20 or even more people, you craft some stereotype of those users, and we call that person. Here, what we propose to you is to move from a world where the human is at the top of the pyramid, or the world is seen as belonging to us. And everything on Earth is how it is at our disposal. It's just made for us. So if we move from a human-centered design, meaning the human is seen at the top of the value chain, if we just consider human as one of the species that are living in the world, then you start seeing things very differently. So why should I have persona just for human and not for other elements, not living elements? Okay? Of course, it's going to be very difficult to lead an interview with a tree. I mean, I don't know what could be the conversation, but unless you are working in Avatar, voilà. Maybe, okay. But usually, trying to speak to a jellyfish or a lion. I'm not sure I'm gonna test that, but you probably end up with absolutely nothing. Still, you could try to put your shoes in those, because having empathy is really about that, putting your shoes in the others. Empathy means not suffering, not like sympathy. It's really different. I really suffer like you when it comes to suffering. Okay, so if you look on the internet, you'll see plenty of persona that are non-human personas. You have got bees, you've got the sea, Mother Nature, which is the nature as a whole. Okay, so I took them directly from the internet. So it's just to tell, this is not just something very fancy that comes out of my brain. There's a trend here. What I propose to you is a canvas that could support your thoughts in finding some non-human personas that are meaningful to your context. Not all are interesting in your context, I'm perfectly sure. But maybe, depending on the project you work with, maybe you find one that could be interesting, that could be meaningful, and give it a try. Let's see. We have animals, so we have large animals, we have domestic livestock, captive or wild. We have vegetation, okay? So you have plants, crops, algae, plankton. So plankton is very diffuse. It's not a single individual. Plankton is a little bit essential, as far as I've heard, for everything that that lives in the sea. And which is absolutely more intriguing, you have eventually location and ecosystem by themselves. A region itself. And let's speak about the region where we are going to build, to make that product. How will be the impact? So if I have that region represented as a persona through the project, maybe I will be less careless about it. Maybe I will probably more project myself. So you have plenty of inspiration here. I recently came up with a wave has been protected. A wave, because it's a regular wave coming on the coast, and if it's not protected and if we leave the things happening today, that wave is going to disappear. And with all that, all the biodiversity that is coming with that wave. So this is really incredible, what you could think of. Obviously, if you work on a new app for cycling, maybe your first choice as a persona, non-human persona, won't be the wave. Maybe it's going to be another one, the one you see in the countryside, maybe, to avoid crashing them. Another one, microbiota. You know that? Right? Everything that we are not belonging to ourselves. The life that makes us is, I think it's 80% aliens. Our DNA. Strange. So we don't belong to ourselves. So for that, again, I propose you a slightly adapted from the persona techniques, adapted to speaking of non-human persona. So here you have 3 columns. So you will find some stuff that are very typical to finding a persona. And this is not an artistic view of a persona here. This is just to collect data. You could put that in a much fancy way, like we had previously, the bee and so on. But here, just to collect the data. What is the health? What is the health? If we're speaking about, let's say, Mother Nature, what is the health of Mother Nature? Not so good. Do we have a quote? Okay, Mother Nature is not speaking. I mean, it's speaking a language some of us want to see, but I don't feel very well because of anthropic activities and so on. So that could be a quote you said. And you will have that quote all along your project. And all along the project, you will think about this. This is the intent of a persona. The persona is to be obsessed by some typical users, potentially, of your system. Here, it's you add up on top of that some elements that should be as obsessed of, provided that you feel concerned about it. So here, what are the intents of that persona? So goal, objective, what is this doing in as an occupation? Especially what are the frustration and challenge, probably due to human activity. And how this persona is enters into interaction with other non-human and with humans. For humans, usually we do, but here we could envision symbiotic behaviors when 2 species are working together in a collaborative, in a very collaborative manner. Okay.
Move forward. It's something interesting because I was checking, but on the non-human personas, for a lot of people it might seem super far-fetched, but for instance in New Zealand, it was recognized, like in 2017, the parliament recognized that the Wanganui as like a living entity. So basically from the mountain to the sea, like all the river, pathways recognized as like a legal entity.
Yeah.
And in France, there's also people fighting for that type of thing to happen, in Europe too. So I think like presenting it this way also helps people to understand that this is not just like a view of like the mind. It's like it's actually something that is happening.
Yes, absolutely. this is, and more you will see that. Maybe today it seems to be a little bit far-fetched, but having that in mind during your project could be very useful to stick to that, because it's very easy to forget about it. So having those persona is non-human passive. Brainwriting. I'm going to be very quick on this one, even if this is my most favorite ideation technique. I will introduce that technique, and it's absolutely not related to environmental challenges, but you could trick it to use it in environmental challenges. Fortunately for you guys, you have all the explanation that I'm going to give on the right-hand side page. Okay, so you can take that home and work about it. Sorry, maybe you have to put your glasses. But I believe things are going to be clear so this ideation technique is really great. It's performed by group, and it's a silent activity. Silent ideation technique. So you do not have to rush on sticky notes and stick it on the wall on top of the colleague's one, which is a bad idea. Okay, so no fight. Building on the other's idea, like in the brainstorming. I told you. Okay, so sorry. So what do? We take that, and every teammate in the team take one. Okay, so Thierry, you have one, Alice, you have one. Okay, and the team should be at least 3. Usually it's better 4 or 5. Okay, so everyone has this. What we take for granted before starting this is you perform well the previous activity. So meaning you have a set of promising problems to be solved. Because you are at the ideation stage, it means you have something to solve. So you have something to crunch. So let's pretend you came up with a list of 3, 4, 5 interesting problems that the team is thinking reasonably interesting for the success of the project. So we have those problems 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the team, everyone in his mind will pick up one problem without stating to the other, I'm going to take the second or the first or whatever. Okay, we accept that 2, 3, the whole team is going to deal with the same problem. In the last 10 years, I never see that. I absolutely never saw a team taking exactly the same problem. So we have a set of 5 problems. Everyone in the team pick one that is to him or to her interesting. Interesting in which way I feel like I can come up with a great solution. I feel really concerned about this problem. Or I think I could inject a very interesting environmental solution in that. So you do not have to justify yourself. You take what is the most interesting to you problem. And you state it here, area 1. Area 2, you come up with a solution. But it's not a solution like in a brainstorming, just partial ideas. Here you have to build a complete solution, as complete as you can in 10 minutes, solving this problem. So you come up with a complete solution, not 5, 1. This is your best solution you write here. Once you've done that, this is recycled, but to me it means as well circulate the paper. So Thierry, you give your sheet to Anaïs, you give your sheet to Benjamin, and Benjamin, you give your sheet to Thierry. Okay, so what do you receive? You receive a problem, maybe a problem you didn't give a shit about, but this is a problem the team decided to work on. The solution. And here you perform what is called design critique. So, design critique, Anaïs and Thierry knows what it is. For the rest, if you're French, try not to read too much critique, okay? Because for French, critique means bashing, okay? So, design critique is all about trying to see maybe what's good, but as well what could be improved or what could prevent that solution to be deployed or to be accepted by users. Okay, so it's really about pinpointing elements that you feel like are not, and do not focus too much on technology, but focus as well on users. Okay, is it really going to be acceptable for a user to do stuff like that just to trigger his smartphone? I'm wondering. Okay, so you do that. Here, next stage, you understand. You move your sheet again to your neighbor. So you receive a new problem, a new solution, and a set of critiques. What you are expected to do in here is write a complete solution, not just a bullet list, a complete solution, like has been done here. Your solution should be based on this one. You shouldn't come up with a brand new solution because you think this one is rubbish and you have a better idea. No, you should base yourself, so it's collaborative, collective intelligence. You base yourself on the initial idea and you take one or two. Don't be greedy. Don't take all. Don't take them all. Just one or two design critiques you feel comfortable to deal with, and enhance the solution here in the state in the text you're stating. Clear? So this is the brainstorm, the brainwriting technique, the virgin one. Perfect. What do you do if you want to be environmental friendly in your solution? First, you force yourself when you're at this stage. So maybe you could introduce environmental element here, of course, but at least you force yourself to introduce every two critiques. You should have one that is related to the environment. So, is the solution good for the environment? What about the energy consumption? What about during the usage, the life cycle, blah blah blah. So, design critiques related to 50%. And when you come up with a better solution, you should take, so I told you, one or two design critiques, so at least one critique related to environment. Do so, you enforce your the better solution, the enhanced one, to have and to embed environmental elements. Okay, very simple. It's a tweak.
Sorry, can you just French?
You get it?
Yeah, should take into account.
So sorry, I switched to French. My Gen AI will switch to French. Donc ici, dans le design critique, c'est une bullet list. Tu enlistes ce que tu veux. Enfin, il y en a 5, 6, 7, 8, ce que tu veux. Par contre, tu t'arranges ici pour qu'il y en ait la moitié qui soit liée à te questionner sur les sujets environnementaux. Quand tu es ici, en principe, tu dois prendre une ou deux design critiques, parce que tu ne peux pas tout prendre, tu ne peux pas traiter toutes les critiques qui ont été faites. Tu en prends une ou deux, et tu améliores la solution qui était là. Ce qu'on te dit ici, c'est dans ton choix des critiques que tu vas prendre en compte, tu en prends au moins une. Si tu en prends deux, tu en prends au moins une qui est liée à l'environnement. Si tu n'en prends qu'une, c'est une qui est liée à l'environnement. Et donc, in the end, your better solution will for sure have environmental elements that are taken into account. I'm done. So wrap up. So this is a full. No, this is not a full picture. This is the picture of, I would say, the minimum you could do when you're serious about taking the environment in an innovation project. I don't want to force. So you could go gradually. The next innovation project, should it be a design sprint, whatever, you take one or two. And the next time you feel more comfortable, you introduce more and more. Okay? Very, very, very simple. And there are plenty of others. I do not pretend that, I do not say that I'm completely comprehensive here. There are plenty of other areas where you could work for. So, question for you. Rhetorical question. You're not expected to, because you want to leave. So, when are you starting? By what are you going to start? Which one of the technique do you feel comfortable And I don't ask you an answer because I know you're tired. This is the end of the day. So if you want, please take the floor is yours. That could be a question in the air, and you take that home, you sleep on that, and tomorrow maybe you come up with a eureka moment. Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for your attention. Very sorry for being late. Ah oui, vas-y.
Quand tu reçois les 3 personnes qui sont là,